Before we begin, ask yourself this. If you heard 3 knocks from the woods, would you answer? Tonight's horror story, The Knocking Tree, takes us deep into Vermont folklore, where the forest doesn't just watch, it remembers. If you're new here, subscribe for more first-person horror stories and haunted legends every week. I didn't come to Vermont looking for ghosts. I came for trees, 3 months in the Green Mountains, an internship with the U.S. Forest Service, field experience, GPS tagging, biodiversity reports. A foot in the door for someone who'd been struggling to keep his head above water since graduation. And, if I'm honest, I needed the solitude, the kind that only a long stretch of forest and a bad signal could offer. They gave me a one-room cabin near the edge of what the map called Sector 4H. It was simple: a cot, a wood stove, a desk, and a water pump out back that sounded like it had asthma. No Wi-Fi. No road. Unless you count the dirt path only a lifted pickup could survive. There was a note pinned to the wall. Handwritten, probably from the last intern. Avoid Lot 47. If you hear knocking, don't answer. I remember chuckling. Urban legends weren't usually in the job description. I figured it was some local hazing tradition. But still, I asked my supervisor the next morning. A man named Hal, late 50s, big beard, quiet type, he frowned.
That lot's not ours anymore. Skip it on your route. Leave it alone.
It didn't take long to find it. Lot 47 was marked on my GPS, plain as day. But the trail leading to it was overgrown, like it had been trying to erase itself. That should have been the first red flag, but I was curious, and curiosity's a funny thing. It always feels like control, until it doesn't. The first night I heard it, I was going over some tree species data at the desk. The sun had dipped behind the tree line, and the cicadas were going strong. That's when it came, 3 knocks, sharp. Even. Like someone tapping wood with the back of their knuckles. It wasn't the door. It came from deeper in the woods. I froze. Waited. Nothing followed. I laughed at myself. Told myself it was a woodpecker or some branch falling just right. My brain reached for the rational, like a drowning man clutching a stone. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, I couldn't resist. I headed toward Lot 47. Told myself I was just being thorough, that it was part of the survey route. The trees changed as I got closer. Taller. Older. No underbrush. The forest floor was bare, like something had swept it clean. And then I found it. A tree, alone in the clearing. Not the biggest, but imposing. Its bark was dark gray, cracked like old leather. Gnarled roots pushed up from the ground like fingers clawing their way out of a grave. I walked up to it. Placed a hand on the bark. It was cold and beneath my palm. I could swear I felt it. A pulse. That night, the knocking came again. Louder, still 3 knocks, still no one there. But this time, I dreamt. I was underground. Soil in my mouth. Screaming, but no sound came out. Above me, footsteps. Someone was walking away. I woke up choking on air. Dirt under my fingernails. I told myself it was stress. Too much coffee, not enough sleep, but something shifted after that. I started noticing things. Whispers, just below the level of sound. A shadow in the trees that never moved, but was always there. My own reflection blinking half a second too late, and every night. The same 3 knocks, I stopped sleeping. I went back to the clearing again. The knocking tree. That's what I'd started calling it in my notes. There was something new, a carving, 3 vertical lines, jagged and crude, etched into the trunk. I hadn't made them, but they were fresh. The sap still wept from the wounds. When I touched the tree again, I saw something, a flash like a memory that wasn't mine. A woman screaming. Bound. A crowd. Torches. Someone shouted, "Witch," and then silence. I staggered back. I wanted to call someone. How? Maybe. But when I turned on the radio, all I got was static. No, not static. It was knocking, 3 slow taps right through the speakers. I drove into town the next morning. There's a library, small, old, kept by a woman named Ruth. When I asked about the tree, she froze.
Lot 47? That land was never meant to be disturbed. Some things, they stay buried because the ground remembers better than we do.
She pulled out a book, Vermont Folklore, Volume 2. One page had been dog-eared so many times it practically opened itself. It told of a woman, Marjorie Crouch, accused of witchcraft in 1793. No trial, no burial, just put in a box and dropped into a shallow pit beneath the old maple. Her last words? "I will knock until someone listens." I went back to the cabin, and for the first time, I didn't turn on the lights. I sat by the window and waited, and just after midnight, 3 knocks, not outside, behind me, in the wall. I didn't turn around right away. The sound had been too close, too deliberate, not like the tree. Not distant. Not filtered by wind and wilderness. This was something inside the walls. I finally moved, slowly. 1 step, then another. I reached out and touched the wooden paneling with the back of my fingers, still warm from the day, still trembling. Then knock, 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 again, right under my palm. I left that night. Took my backpack, my field notes, the keys to the truck they'd loaned me. I didn't pack much, just got in and drove. Didn't stop until I hit cell reception, 2 hours down a mountain road, so winding it felt like it was trying to lead me in circles. I called Hal. Told him everything. He didn't speak for a long time. Then, all he said was,
"Don't go back. You've seen it. That's enough."
But it wasn't, not for me. I spent the next few days in a motel in Montpelier. Tried to put it all down in writing. Make it logical, digestible, clinical. That's what they taught us in school, right? Observe, record, interpret. But every time I looked at the page, my hand would start shaking. The words bled into each other, warped and blurry, like they were resisting translation. In the dreams, they didn't stop. I saw her again. The woman. Marjorie, but this time she wasn't screaming. She was whispering.
"They buried me so shallow. My hands were free. My fingers found the bark. I was the first to knock."
I woke up gasping, and there it was, 3 knocks on the motel door. I opened it. No one, but a small gift had been left on the welcome mat. A stick, thin, broken, but carved, with 3 marks, exactly like the ones on the knocking tree. By the end of the week, I was back at the cabin. I told myself it was for closure, to say goodbye to whatever I had stirred up, But really, I just couldn't stand the feeling of being watched in the city, of being followed by something I couldn't see. I thought maybe if I went back, if I listened, it would stop. The forest was quiet when I arrived. Too quiet. No birdsong. No insects. Even the wind felt like it was holding its breath. The knocking tree stood just as I remembered, still alone, still waiting. I approached it slowly, step by step, like I was entering a cathedral made of rot and memory. And then I spoke. "I hear you." At first, nothing happened. Then a breeze, a pressure behind my eyes, like something was sliding into place. I reached out, touched the bark again. And suddenly, I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was underground again, not in a dream this time. No, this felt real. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, just earth pressing into every inch of me. And above me, voices. I heard my own name. Heard someone say I went missing. Heard Hal say,
He looked too deep. That's how she finds you.
Then silence, and then knock, knock, knock from beneath for me. I snapped back into the clearing, gasping on my knees. Dirt filled my mouth. My fingernails were packed with black soil. The tree was bleeding, sap oozing from the carvings like tears, and for the first time, I saw her. Not as a vision, not as a memory, but standing beneath the tree, tall, pale, wearing a dress of woven roots and soil. Her eyes were hollow, but inside them, I saw stars, or maybe holes. She looked at me, tilted her head, then reached out and placed her hand on the trunk. Knock, knock, knock. That was 3 nights ago. I haven't left since. Can't. The road out. It's gone. The GPS loops in circles. The radio won't work. The knocking's not just at night anymore. Now it follows me from tree to tree. I think the forest is changing, and I think I'm becoming part of it. I tried marking the trees, chalk, tape, even notches with my knife, but no matter how many times I turned around, the forest rearranged itself, my trail vanished, and the knocking never stopped. Sometimes it came from behind me, sometimes ahead, once directly under my feet, like something crawling just beneath the skin of the world. I started sleeping during the day, couldn't risk closing my eyes at night anymore. Not after I saw her again. The woman in the root-woven dress. She doesn't move like a person. She sways like branches in a wind you can't feel, and she's always watching. Not with anger, with hunger. I dug into the tree's base on the 4th night. With my hands. Desperate, I needed to know what was beneath it. The dirt was soft, like it had been dug recently. That's when I found it. The bones, small ones first, animal, I thought. Then fingers, then a jaw, and carved into the skull, as clear as daylight, 3 notches. I ran, didn't matter where. Just away. I thought maybe if I got far enough, whatever was tethering me to this place would snap, but it didn't. Instead, I found the cabin again, except not how I left it. There was no roof. No walls, just timber outlines, as if it had rotted away decades ago. My notes were scattered across the forest floor, moss growing over my own handwriting, but the door was still there, just the door. Standing alone, and from behind it, knock, knock, knock. I should have left, but I opened it. Behind the door was a room that should not exist. Dark, dry, stone walls carved with symbols that pulsed when I looked at them. In the center, A woman sat cross-legged on the floor, not the one from the tree. This one was alive, barely. Her hair was white and matted, her eyes milky, but she turned toward me and she smiled.
You answered. Now the forest will remember you.
I asked her who she was. She told me her name was Iris Lovett, said she had been the first to research the tree back in 1963.
I came here like you did.
She whispered.
Curious. Academic. Skeptical.
Then she reached into a satchel and pulled out a journal. My name was on the cover. She handed it to me with trembling fingers. Inside, the pages were filled, not in my handwriting, but in hers, pages and pages of my own memories written before they ever happened. What I saw, what I said, what I dreamed.
The tree writes through us. It needs minds to remember. Flesh to echo. That's how it stays alive.
I didn't want to believe her. Told myself it was all a trick. Stress. Isolation. Madness. But then she asked,
Do you hear it now?
and I did. Not just knocks anymore. Voices. Low. Urgent. Layered. Whispering names. Dates. Please. Like the soil was a speaker and grief was its signal. Iris said the tree was planted above a pit used for burials during a fever outbreak in 1811, except no one buried the bodies properly. They burned them, half-buried others, and one girl, Marjorie, they put her there alive. The town accused her of witchcraft. Said she poisoned the river. She knocked for 3 nights before she stopped. That's where the knocking comes from, Iris said. Each echo is someone trying to finish their knock, finish their story, be remembered. But the forest doesn't let them go. It binds the living to the dead, like pages in the same book. I asked her how long she'd been here.
Time doesn't pass for me anymore, not since I answered the knock.
Then she stood.
It's your turn now.
She led me outside, back to the knocking tree. The woman in the root dress was there too, and I finally understood they weren't two people. They were the same. One before, one after, one alive, one remembered. Iris took my hand.
You can still walk away, but the knocking never stops. Not until you become the one who knocks.
I walked into the clearing, placed my hand on the trunk, and knocked once, just once, and the tree opened. The bark peeled back like old leather, not rotted, not splintered, just opening. Behind it, I saw the inside of the tree. It wasn't wood. It wasn't anything natural. It was rooms. Corridors of memory, chambers of regret, and down the center, a spiral stair made of bone and root, leading deeper and deeper underground. I stepped inside. The bark sealed shut behind me. No sound from the outside world, just the whispering and the knocking. Always the knocking. I saw others down there, or their echoes, men in 19th century clothes, a nurse with hollow eyes, children dragging tin cups behind them like toys. Each one paused when I passed. Each one held up a hand and knocked. Once, twice, 3 times, as if reminding me, as if asking me to remember them. I followed the spiral until it ended in a circular chamber. In the center, a chair, a journal on the seat, And a window, yes, somehow a window looking back up at the forest floor above. I saw the cabin, the trail, even my car, all covered in vines now. I opened the journal. The pages were blank, waiting for me to fill them, not with stories, with names. Iris had said the tree needed a memory keeper, someone to carry the weight of those who were buried without justice, without truth, without closure, and it would offer them one thing in return: to be remembered. The moment I understood that, the knocking stopped. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was deafening, like the forest itself was holding its breath. Then, a final knock from inside me. I woke up in the clearing. The sun was out, birds chirped, everything looked normal again, but I knew better, because the journal was still in my hands, filled with names I had never written. And when I walked back into town, no one remembered me. The ranger station said the internship ended weeks ago. My supervisor said they never had anyone named Ian. My apartment was cleared out. My phone number didn't exist. I had been erased. Except, I wasn't gone. Not entirely. Because sometimes, when the wind shifts, when the light bends just right, I can hear them knocking. And if I touch the bark of any tree for too long, even far from Vermont, I see that spiral again, calling me. I still write names in the journal. I don't know who they are, where they're from, or how I know them. But when I stop, even for a day, the knocking returns. So I write, and write, and write, because I've learned something terrible. The tree doesn't just remember the dead, it hunts the living who try to forget. And the woman in the root dress, she's still out there, waiting for the next curious fool, the next skeptic, the next name. If you ever hear 3 knocks at night, don't answer, don't look, don't listen, because once you do, it knows you, and it will never let you go. If this story of the knocking tree sent chills down your spine, give it a like and share it with someone who dares walk alone in the woods. What would you do if the knocking never stopped? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, not all forests grow from soil, some grow from secrets. Stay in the shadows. We'll whisper again soon.